everyone, welcome to our third episode of the Data Dojo podcast. I'm really excited today because after a very long time, I have two data scientists in the Data Dojo podcast. So, super pumped and excited to welcome Karun and Nirmal. I've known both of them for over many years now, following their content on LinkedIn and all the mentorship they do. And they've also recently written an ML book, which we'll talk about a little bit more. So, Karun and Nirmal, welcome to the show. Very excited. So, let's start with a quick intro about yourselves. Karun, you want to go first?
Sounds good. Yeah, hi, all Karun here. So currently a senior data scientist at Walmart, been in the DS space for about 6 years, and yeah, I mostly work on Texas and LLMs, and yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. Nirmal?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Nirmal, currently senior data scientist in Microsoft. I work in cybersecurity space, mostly building ML models right now in the detection side, trying to detect before anything happen. Yeah, I've been in data industry for a long time. I'm also a prior service member. I started my career as a military and then worked my way towards the data science side. Yeah.
Awesome. Very interesting. I want to kick things off by talking a little bit more about both of your interdisciplinary journey. And Nirmal, will start with you because you mentioned you worked in the Army, Navy, and then sort of pivoted your way into, Microsoft data science right now. You also do a lot of mentorship. Walk us through, was there any pivotal point in your journey where you felt like, this is my calling, like data science is my calling, or
Mhm.
just tell us any pivotal moments of your entire career trajectory so far?
Yeah, of course. I think most of mine, if I look back now on that, the back mirror, I do see that there were some points where I was extremely excited and hey, this could be my next career, changing decision. But at the same time, some of them were the ones that I decided what was the best decision at that point of time, right? So
Right.
going all the way back, I think when I came here for my master's and I finished the schooling, college, and I think military was not in part of my journey, right? So I wanted to kind of get into tech, work in the tech, and that was definitely the dream I came up with
Mhm.
here. Then the market was not really good. It was around like 2009, 10 when I graduated, and uh, I was trying to figure out what could be the best option for me to land next, right?
Yeah.
All of us, like when we come from the immigration standpoint, that's also important decision. So, with all these circumstances and the other factors that I was weighing in, at that point, at least the program itself was kind of like temporarily run for a few years by military, and now it's even closed. Some of my friends asked me, "Hey, how did you even get into the military as a student?" Right? So it was kind of like pilot program they ran for some time when they really needed more people, so they had some criteria, and once you meet you can join. So my very first big career decision in the US of joining military was not even in my plan book. So but then when I look back now, I think it was one of the best decisions I made because that kind of shaped my next career stage. A lot of the opportunity came after that. My immigration side was, squared away, and I got into the federal department to work as a data analyst. And I would say that was my first pivotal point to get into the data and started building uh, more interest towards the data. But then I become more hungry that, hey, analytics is not enough. I want to do more
Right.
ML. I want to get into the actual data science side of the house. And I went to school again to do masters in data science. And it was funded by my federal department. So that was also kind of like, really good thing happened. And then after that, I think I picked up my first data scientist title with Wells Fargo. I was in a fintech for briefly. And then since I worked in the security space for a while, like when I was a data analyst, I was in the cybersecurity department for the federal government. So I kind of love the data, like the security data,
Mm.
logs, telemetry, and a lot of people uh, kind of hate it. But of course, like when there is a big data, that's where I think you can do more data science and pattern analysis and all, right. So always the data was a problem, but in security data, it was not the problem, right? So
Right.
And then I started doing more ML, learned myself, and also from the school. And then, I was hired by Microsoft after that, right? So that's my journey. Like the first few pivotal points were that knowing like when I wanted to do more in the data,
Yeah.
and then and not only analytics. I'm not going to limit myself in analytics only, or like I want to do a little bit more. So yeah, so that kind of thing happened when I was in the data analyst title itself. So I think now I think about it, it's just like there's so many instances or career decisions happens in your life. Some of it you decide, some of it is kind of like the best decision out of the circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, if your goal is set, I think you will get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure when you look back, you feel like all this happened for a reason. I'm sure you learned a lot of things from your experience in the army and well
Yeah,
spent
yeah,
work.
definitely.
Yeah.
And even in the professional side also, like even now I'm in tech, all the skills that I have learned in the military also, regardless I was working in the super fancy tech job or not, it is useful, right?
Yeah.
So the human skills, the communication skills, all the skills matters, right, in a way. So that definitely helped.
Absolutely. Yeah. What about you, Karun?
For me, I guess my path is maybe a little bit more common. I started out as like a software development engineer. I mean, engineering is sort of like one of the main things that you end up in if you're growing up in India. So I wouldn't say I was like I was interested in the field. Like if you're in India, you need to be good at academics, and it sort of translated into I have to be good at my job. So yeah, that sort of led me to being a good SDE, and yeah, it just helped me sort of get in the get sort of like good visibility. At that time, the director at that time wanted to start out sort of like an analytics and ML wing, and I got the opportunity to work on that, and that's where I was introduced this concept of data analytics and machine learning. And like in the first sort of like big project, we were working on like a Hadoop cluster and going through sort of like somewhat relatively huge data set. I was working at Dell Technologies, so mostly working on the recom data. And sort of like what started out as a project of like looking through the data, analyzing it, finding sort of like an insight, seeing that insight drive business decision, and building it out into a product. That journey was like very fulfilling. It tied into like some sort of latent interest that I had in like storytelling and
Hmm.
in sort of like the creative space. And yeah, I sort of really got hooked onto uh, that pipeline of going from data to storytelling to building out a product.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm still sort of hooked on that. So yeah, that sort of led me to data science, and pursued my master's in data science to get better at that pipeline. And yeah, still trying to get as good as possible in that pipeline.
Awesome. Awesome. Like you said, like I think in India, you become an engineer first and then you decide what you want to do in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar trajectory. I think for me, there was one pivotal moment because when I came to US for my master's, I was like, I want to be a product manager. I'm done with like coding. It's so boring and it's so monotonous. But then I took a class called Intro to ML, and that changed my perspective about how things are taught. Because in my
Mhm,
opinion, data science and machine learning was very similar to like, oh, I have to code again. I don't want to do coding.
mhm,
I don't hate it, but I don't enjoy to do it full time. But then I thought, okay,
mhm.
there is more to it. There is so much math
Yeah.
behind it, and the way it's taught, it's not so boring. So I think that class like changed what I want to do for the rest of my life. But
Nice.
interesting
Nice.
journeys, very interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, so moving on, I want to know a little bit more about, I mean, we all, since ChatGPT came in, are like trying to keep pace with what are the new things that are coming, this agents, MCP, and every week something new comes up. And a lot of people I hear are getting scared about data science as a career. They feel that is it even a legitimate career anymore? How do we keep up with the skills that are required? So because you guys are so much into, helping new grads and people new to the industry, do you have any skills for data professionals to keep up? What are the skills that they need to be ready for the next roles?
Yeah, I'll go first. This is kind of funny enough that when we move in a very fast pace, right? Like the technology is kind of changing, and you definitely have to understand which direction we are heading, what kind of change are coming, how it's going to impact in my current role. How do I learn new skills to adapt to it rather than shy away from it.
Mm.
For me, I think it's kind of funny, but I will still go back to fundamentals, right? If someone asks me, hey, what are the skills that I need to make sure that I have it, and then if they ask me, that's going to be fundamentals, right? Like regardless of how AI is shaping your foundational stats, math, they're going to come along, right? Whenever you are solving the problem, you're looking at the distribution of data, stuff like that. You need to understand that, right? And that's another reason we wrote our book, was also to keep in the foundations, right? Like for the ML, regardless of all this AI stuff, the interviewer still asks, the assumptions of linear regressions or stuff like that, right? So the
Yeah.
fundamental things, like how do you evaluate your model, why this way versus the other way, so it actually boils down to that for me. So someone asks me like, hey, have a really strong command on one programming language. Someone could be really good at SQL. That's good. They can slowly transition towards the other language, which is getting popular, like Python or any other language, uh, and then of course pick up the the other fundamentals like stat math, uh, ML. The traditional ML is not going away. How do you leverage LLM to the traditional side of ML? That like some people are just thinking they are two directions, and it's probably not. Like you can leverage the power of LLMs to do advanced feature engineering, do more feature engineering, bring that data back to your model and see they may perform better, right? So those are a few things for me. Yeah. Just stack up on your fundamentals, understand the train, at least, you don't just turn around, but at least you don't really have to do everything too. A lot of
Mm.
people ask me, my mentees, like, hey, I feel like missing out. Like there's a lot of things going on. I feel like I am falling behind. And then I ask, like, how are you comparing you against? How do you fall behind? What is your baseline? They
Yeah.
don't know, right?
Yeah.
So nobody is falling behind. I mean, the technology is moving fast doesn't mean that you have to catch everything, right? Uh, you have to be aware of it and slowly learn, right? So learn one at a time. People jump to learn the RAG or the other stuff, that, like for example, the agentic AI and stuff, and even the any other new concept. But then when I go back and ask them, hey, fundamentals of NLP, they're like, they haven't spent time, right?
Mm.
So that kind of hopping is not going to work.
True, true, very
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
yeah,
fundamentals are so important.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for me. Karun?
Yeah, for me also, I would agree with a lot of the same. I think like AI as a field, ML as a field is still sort of maturing, and I feel like we can learn from a field that's already matured, like
Mm-hmm.
software engineering. Like if you look at the interview, it's still fundamentals, it's still DSA, HLD, LLD. So if ML also, I still feel like what you need to crack an interview is still a focus on those fundamentals. So when we break it down, it's being able to do data analysis and feature engineering, fitting and fine-tuning your models, productionalizing those models, explaining those models. Those are the four pillars you need to be like really good at as a data scientist, whether you are good at them with respect to like log reg or whether you're good at them with respect to LLMs. It's still those four things. And as long as you understand those four things fairly well, you can shift, like lift and shift it pretty easily as sort of the model changes, I feel. There would be like some nuances, but as long as those four things you understand it fairly well, you can sort of like pick up those skills. Like Nirmal said, focusing on those fundamentals gives you like some stability, irrespective of how fast the field changes.
Correct. Yeah, very, very true. Very, very true. Yeah. Fundamentals are so important, and it's waste just skipping and just learning what the new buzz is about.
Yeah.
You mentioned about, yeah, Nirmal, go ahead.
No. One quick thing to add, like Karan mentioned, and I remember, like like when I work with engineers, right, for placing the model in production, for example, even they don't come from ML or AI background, their
Mm.
fundamentals, engineering skills, like how they have been doing things, how they have been moving, they work into build and all kind of CI/CD process to put in production and all. Once you have that conversation with them, it probably takes few sync or coordination, and they get it. they can learn and come like, what is the different for AI model than the regular software feature to push, and they can track and have that thing down, right? So that's because their fundamentals were solid, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. True. You mentioned about your book, and first of all, congratulations. I know how much hard work it can go in like writing a book. What was the motivation? I guess I'm hearing that, you want to help people focus on the fundamentals, but it's more focused on like cracking interviews, especially machine learning interviews. So what was the motivation behind writing this book? Did you see a obvious gap that you need to work on?
Yeah, so I can take and I'll let Karun add. For me, when I was preparing myself, I always placed myself on that shoe, right? As if I was a candidate,
Hmm.
what are the things I should be doing if I have an ML interview coming up? And
Yeah.
then on that scenario, a few of the interviews that I gave in the past, and also talking to a lot of my mentees who is preparing for interviews, one of the common thing I hear, the common voice I heard was, uh, it's not a lack of information, but it's like, how do I extract the signals out of all the information available, right? So it's not that we are writing one additional book just to put in a pile, right? I wanted to focus on that if someone has like 2 weeks, for example, right, 3 weeks, because interview is, if you write a book, you're not trying to teach everything in this book. We're not trying to do that, right? Because someone going for the ML role should already have the understanding of ML concepts and everything. But does not mean that they are well prepared for interview, because interview is a different ballgame, right? So
Yeah.
the concepts questions can cover from many angles. The follow-ups, a lot of the time, these new grads or early career folks haven't faced enough interviews, or they don't have experience on how to prepare.
Sure.
So we were trying to solve that problem in a way.
Yeah.
So that kind of was my motivation. Is information is scattered everywhere, but
Yeah.
if someone needs a solid plan, like a probably the guide or the cheat sheet, whatever we call,
Yeah.
I have short period of time, I know the concepts, but what kind of question I should prepare?
Correct.
That
Correct.
exactly is something we wanted to answer.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was just mainly we want to focus on like a cram resource. You have your exam coming up. You're not the type to study ahead of time. You need to make sure that you cover all the concepts in as short time as possible. So this book will help, and it will hopefully also develop like that thinking. Like most of the questions you'll see like follows a pattern. Like why is homoscedasticity important for linear regression? What about randomization in random forest or positional encoding in transformers? So we're trying to test whether you understand why a model is designed a certain way, why it's what's the point of like tying a certain metric to a model, and sort of like key things around training, evaluation, fitting, fine tuning, and
Mm.
productionization. So as long as you go through the book, you will also hopefully develop that thinking, and you'll be able to view like whatever models you have sort of like implemented in your resume,
Right.
and sort of like fit questions to that as
Right. And then like data science is not a mature, or machine learning interviews are not as mature as like a maybe software
Right.
engineering where, if I do like these lead code 20,
Yes.
200, I'm good to go. So it's nice to have some sort of guidance
well.
that you guys have created. So yeah, awesome job.
Thank you.
So if there was one lesson from your experience writing this book, what would it be?
Yeah, for me, I think it was the discipline and accountability that I learned for myself as well. I would probably say that was one of the main reason I was looking for collaboration, right? Like I was thinking of writing myself in the beginning, and I start seeing like a lot of good data science post from Karun, and I'm like, maybe I will reach out. Why can't we join force, right?
Right.
And that actually created a good value, at least for me to be, hey, when shall we finish this, things like that. And I would say when it comes to knowledge sharing and collaboration like this, I think 1 + 1 equals more than 2 for me, because
Sure. Yeah.
his side of vision is different, my side of vision is different. Like some of the questions, even if the common
Mhm.
questions, later we were dropping down some duplicate questions and the way that we answer, right? So if his answer was better, I'm like, let's pick that one, so
Yeah.
there's no bias. So yeah, I think that was probably for me was the self-discipline and accountability was.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's that writing is hard. It's really, really hard. I've done like writing on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn sort of feels like a two-way platform in the sense that people can comment and you can
Yeah,
expand if they
Mhm.
don't understand. But writing a book, it's like, okay, am I explaining it clearly? Why
Yeah.
isn't this flowing well into the other paragraph? Is this example fitting in? And you keep looking at the same content over and over again, and you're like, okay, I've looked at it too much. I need to take a break because I can't see any way of better explaining this. So yeah, the
Yeah.
main lesson was like, yeah, writing is really, really hard, and yeah, definitely having somebody who can sort of provide feedback, a fresh set of eyes, that really helps. Yeah,
Yeah. The accountability,
yeah,
discipline. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
The other part was the other part was that, like Karun said, it kind of also remind me that at some point of time, once you start, like if you're trying to build your own thing, right? Like we're like now I was thinking, instead of just me sharing the uh, daily content for the LinkedIn, I'm putting something together
Hmm.
for someone to ingest and learn from it, and slowly I become like it has to be perfect, right? And but then like I need to draw a line also, like like how far I go to make it perfect. There's no definition
Yeah.
of exact perfect, right? So some
Yeah.
point of time you feel like, and in that sense also, like when two or more folks collaborate, uh, you know uh, you don't have that perfectness bias, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. How long did it take for you guys to finish it?
cool. Getting like the first draft out was somewhat like happened like faster than I expected.
Right.
But going through the edits, yeah, that was sort of like figuring out what questions to keep, what questions, like what set of questions is like comprehensive enough for a particular topic. That took a while, and then yeah, keeping on like trying to tweak and fine tune the
Yeah,
content so that it sort of is comes across
Yeah.
good, easy to read. That was what took a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think the other challenge was that both of us, like we didn't have a strong prior experience on, having something out like this to
Mm.
find the right people to edit, or get everything like logistic wise, right? So that
Yeah.
was, so now that we have gone through the process once, I would probably imagine if we write again, and I'm definitely
Yeah.
hoping to collaborate again, it will
Yeah.
be it will be a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're both are first time authors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Awesome job on getting it out. I know it's a lot of work with full-time job and other things that you do. So switching to other things that you do, there's mentorship that is common between both of you, and you do that a lot. I've seen, I think your top data science mentor, Karun or something. I don't know. So it's really amazing that you are able to devote that much time and bring so much impact in people who are trying to pursue a data science or machine learning career. So tell us more about the mentorship experience. I know that a lot of people, besides all these amazing achievements people have in life, it's the most impactful one is like when someone says that I got a job because of your recommendation, because of your advice, and that really motivates you to keep on going. So is that the motivation? Have you had these messages that you received that was like, I have to do this more and more?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
you said it right. I think that definitely feels the comments, the testimonials you get from folks, and you can also see the real impact, on someone's life, and I think that's kind of huge. When I started, I had a simple mission. In fact, like I wanted to fill the gap that I felt in my own career time.
Mm.
Like I definitely felt gap in so many times in my career that I wish I had a great mentor to guide me or something, right? So,
Yeah.
and I that kind of inspired me to become one for others.
Mm.
At the same time, I have seen the value of mentorship. Like throughout my career, I have great mentors for me myself. So, but there was some point in during my early career stages when you wanted someone to guide you, right? And that helps. And on the other part is uh, the helping the woman in education back home in Nepal. I started that mission also very simple, focus that hey, I can at least fund some students to go to pursue their tech career, right? So still back home in Nepal, there's a lot of places have a strong gender bias, like girls going into the tech or even going to private schools, things like that is tough, sadly. And I wanted to kind of establish something like if I take some mentorship sessions in the top mate, for example, like of my work hour stuff, then regardless of how much I make there, I can funnel that or channel that back to that program. And that I once I start seeing that, like, those folks going to school, pursuing their college, and just because I spend some time, mentoring someone. And over here also, my mentorship has helped them to get into their next career stage. So I see that the completion of the loop, for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that was the inspiring factor for me. Yeah.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. And for me, I guess I had like good mentors, and
Yeah.
most of my like jobs and most of my like career switches came from good mentors. So this was like I have to
Payback.
pay it forward, and yeah. So I started TopMate on that, still doing that, and yeah, it's sort of like grew from there. Now I have like project groups that I lead. So like sort of like folks who develop like even like I guess like I have like a project group that's leading an SLM fine tuning project. So it's like now I get to learn from those sort of like ventures,
Mm.
and I have like research groups where like they're writing out papers. So when I read like their drafts, I get to learn from that. So now it's sort of like a nice flywheel
Two-way
where
street.
yeah,
Yeah.
where I can provide like some of my guidance, but the work that they're doing, I get to learn from that also. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That is awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, moving on from the last question I have before we jump to the lightning round. Data science as a career, we talked about all the technical skills that you need to have, the fundamentals, but it's much more than that, right? The skills that you need, probably domain expertise, good communications, because you need to understand what problem you're solving so as to provide the better insights. So, in your experience working with different employers and going up the ladder, what typical skills besides the technical skills are needed to be successful as a machine learning engineer or a data scientist?
Yeah, I think you kind of had some answer in the question itself. Like for me, storytelling piece was extremely important. And there are some misconceptions that having cool visualizations and dashboard is a storytelling, and that's the part of the storytelling, but that's not the whole
Hmm.
storytelling piece when it comes to data. It's like from the raw data, like all the pre-processing steps or everything that you have done to until the point that you build a model and created significant business impact. What is that journey of the data itself, right? Like what are the problems you saw, what you would tackle? uh, I think it has to flow really naturally, and using the tools and technology, how can you make that story heard, right? By especially the business stakeholders who have really good sense of product, but less sense of
Yeah.
science or math in a way. And
Yeah.
you have to be data scientist is almost like an interpreter in between, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Right.
So that I always suggest people to put some time and effort to build that, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Good storytelling.
Yeah.
For me, I guess it's maybe a technical skill. So it's more around, I mean, apart from storytelling, that's like the key skill, non-technical skill. But the other one is the ability to sort of like earn trust and build transparency into the process. Like most of the times, or most of the things that I feel are lacking in like mentees' resumes is like they have like a bullet that addresses fitting and fine-tuning a model. They have another bullet that addresses like productionizing or feature engineering, but almost always there is no piece around explainability. Like
Mhm.
oftentimes, once you put a model in production, the first thing that business stakeholders are going to ask is, why did it do this thing when something happened? So I feel like being able to communicate what is going on in a model and building that transparency and sort of like taking stakeholders along the process of model building, whether it be
Yeah.
quick weekly chats, anything of that sort, sort of like builds trust with the stakeholders. Because like we often want to say that like people trust the data, but I've never found that to be true. I feel like people trust the people presenting the data, and so you have to build trust. Uh,
True.
so yeah, using your technical skills, keeping them in the loop, building in like whatever processes you need to provide transparency to make them feel comfortable with the ML model. Because most people, even though it's been like maybe 2 decades since ML's been here, people still feel uncomfortable knowing that there's this black
Like
box
a
model
black
out there.
box. Yeah,
Yeah, going out there making business decisions. So building that comfort, but earning that trust, that's an important skill, I feel.
very true. And it's so critical. Like data is based on which so many decisions and millions
Yeah,
and dollars are put together. So
exactly.
good storytelling, good communication, and being transparent.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, all right. We are done with our main questions. Now we move on to the lightning round, and we'll start with Karun because Nirmal has been going first. So
Yes.
I'm going to give you a little bit of advantage. So first Karun, then Nirmal, and answer it fast. Okay? No,
It
no
sounds like
thinking.
advantage to me.
Yeah. Should we swap?
No, no, I'm just
Okay. First question. One mentor or colleague who shaped your thinking.
Gaurav Sen, YouTuber.
Okay. What does he or she?
He's mostly around software engineering, but he talks a lot about AI agents. He provides a little more non-hyped view of all this technology, and that I feel is like a something lacking in the conversation right now.
Yeah. Nirmal, what about you?
I would say Joshua. Like he was my previous Microsoft. He was from different org, and I kind of randomly come across. He politely accepted my request to come meet me. So yeah, and his mentorship definitely helped me. Joshua
Awesome.
Neal, yeah.
Awesome. A non-data book that, or it can be a podcast that has influenced your outlook, but it has to be non-tech.
Ikigai. It's a book that my wife gifted me like a few years ago. It's been nice. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
it's one of my favorite books too. Yeah.
nice.
For me, The Art of War.
Oh,
Favorite line, win without fighting. Sunji, right? I think that's a popular book. And
Hmm.
being in the military also, but it's different. It's not about the war. It's all about building strong personality. So
Nice. I
yeah.
will link it to the podcast. Karun, any analogy or something that you say when you're explaining data or ML to non-technical people?
Oh, I used it recently in a LinkedIn post. Tuning, like building out a ML model is sort of like getting the right notes to come from your guitar. It takes a while. You sort of pluck a string, you listen to the sound, and then you take an action accordingly. And ML is often that process. So that's what I used to get them comfortable with the idea that when we first launch the model,
Yeah.
things are gonna go wrong. So we'll react accordingly.
It's very cool.
Yeah, that's a nice one. I'll say just like cooking, the key ingredients on the kitchen, it can be raw and messy. And then it depends how you follow your recipe or like what you're trying to cook to serve the best meal, right? So that's going to be a model, I guess, if you could do it
Wow. Cooking and guitar. Nice. I love it.
right.
And any early mistake in your career that you feel actually defined and elevated your career?
Early on in my career, I was part of like a hackathon, and I was like called like the AI guy during that time. So in that hackathon, I tried out like a lot of different models, and I thought I got a good performance, and I got beat out by a guy who built like a log rec model. What he basically did was he went out and got more data and like more features, and that's when I realized like yeah, the model doesn't like the model may add a lot of value, but more often than not, I would say like 80% of the time, it's the feature and being able to go and get like external data sets that's going to add a lot more value.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me too, I was super focused on tuning the accuracy of model or having a great performing model
Hmm.
in my early career, and soon to realize that if I miss the connection to the business
Yeah,
impact, like that model is not useful. So
right. Very true. Very true. The most underrated skill for data professionals today.
Oh, I'll take Nirmal's answer, storytelling.
See,
you,
sometimes
you,
he gets advantage too.
yeah, he made the advantage out of the disadvantage now. I like it. I'll say domain knowledge. people talk about it, but a lot of times I hear that data scientists, they say they can perform really well on every domain. It could be true for the early career folks,
Yeah,
but once you are in the domain for some time, that adds to your advantage and value. So
true, true, very true. One AI trend you think is overhyped right now?
Agents. I think a lot of things can be done. Like agents have a lot of stochastic. It's stochastic by nature. You don't need it, or you can't use it in a lot of business process where you need like a very well-defined answer. I feel like people are just fitting agents in just
Everywhere.
because they can. Yeah.
Yeah.
how about vibe coding?
Yeah, yeah.
on, right now we are in a stage where I think building matters, and I think that's what I think it is showing promising results. Right?
It's good for building MVPs, but
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
yeah,
But when you start going into production and
yeah.
that phase of all debugging and stuff, then it's a different stuff. So
I think it ends up taking the same time because you
yeah,
debug so much.
yeah.
Might as well write your own code. Yeah.
Just like where your sprint gonna be heavy, beginning or the end.
Yeah, true, true. Any data tool or method you're excited about right now?
SLMs. I think like condensing those LLMs down has been like really interesting results, and yeah, looking forward to having those local models that you can actually fine tune.
Mm,
I think it's gonna have like a huge amount of impact.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say probably the diffusion models who can create a really good synthetic data, right? Like we always had a struggle to
Right.
have a really good synthetic data, like to cross the boundaries of the compliance, HIPAA and stuff, right? So for any field, I guess, from medical to other field which are heavily regulated, it's hard to find data. So
Mm,
even in my field in cybersecurity, we struggle to find the data outside to learn something. So if we can get that, these models to our benefit, I think, to get
yeah,
data.
yeah, yeah. Both awesome answers. I'm excited
Yeah.
for both. What was the hardest chapter to write in your book and why?
Oh, the first chapter, because I felt like an imposter. I didn't feel like I could write a book. So yeah, the first chapter was definitely the hardest.
Yeah, for me, when I was covering the deep learning aspects, it definitely put me to learning mode again,
Mm,
to just to understand and try to break it down the concepts. Some of the questions I picked from that topic was interesting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Advantage of writing, you learn yourself so
Oh
much.
yeah, it will push you, right, to learn yourself too.
Awesome. Any quote or mantra that you use on your, blue days when you're feeling low?
It's like my favorite quote, but my wife hates it. It's called "Struggle builds character." I keep telling that telling it to myself when I'm going through a hard time. I try to tell it to her, but she gets angry. But yeah, struggle builds character.
Nice, nice, very
A
nice.
good one. What do I say? I think running to the storm, then running away from it. My
Mm,
dad used to give an example that like both wild buffaloes and cows, they can sense the storm in a way.
mm.
The two behave extremely differently. Cows run away from the storm, and then
Oh,
buffalo run into the storm, the wild buffaloes. And buffaloes will pass the storm faster, right? Because if you run into the storm,
yeah,
it will pass.
yeah, yeah.
So my dad always tell me run into the storm. So I'll say that.
Very nice. I love both of them. My favorite is my husband's quote. Actually, he says pressure is privilege. I used to like, you don't know how much pressure I have. He's like, pressure is privilege, enjoy it. So whenever I'm stressed, I'm like, I'm privileged. I'm privileged to have this stress.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah. Okay, last one. If you were not in AI data, what field would you be in?
Oh, I like physics. I want to actually do a bachelor's in physics. Ended up in engineering.
I would have stayed in military, I guess. I loved it. Initially, I
Yeah.
started what I'm doing. It is a random decision, but later on, I was enjoying it. Like doing middle of the night, waking up for mission, going, and it
Yeah.
was nothing to do with this different life. I
Yeah.
would probably
Yeah.
continue that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the all the discipline and everything you learned have translated into what you do today as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Uh, I always say, like, sometimes my wife is like, "Hey, summer is here. Let's do camping," and I just look back and I camped all my life almost. That really doesn't excite me to pack a
Right.
tent and go out
Yeah.
in the wilderness. I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she says, let's go sky jumping. Okay. I did that too. Jump from the plane so many times.
Right. Wow, you did all the cool things already.
And it's kind of like, now I think about it, all those cool stuff that we, like adventures, obstacle courses and stuff, we did it for free. That was part of our job.
That's amazing. Yeah. You should consider joining.
That's fun, definitely.
Cool. All right. Those were all the questions. It was a pleasure talking to both of you, and I
Yeah.
learned so much. And before we part ways, is there anything you would like to share with the audience?
Check out our book, of course, right?
Of
And thanks
course.
for having us. It was really fun conversation. Always good to catch up with you and Karun both. So yeah, that's all I have. And best wishes, good luck for anyone who's listening for their career, whatever they are, either job search or excelling in their career. And please connect if I can help with anything, right? So
Yeah. Same here. The hype eventually dies down. Stay curious, and as long as you have like some kind of mechanism to keep learning, you'll be fine. And yeah, if you need any help, always reach out to us.
Awesome. Thank you both. We'll be sure to add our LinkedIn's and also attach the link to the book. So super excited to read this. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Good luck.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Take care.